It is Tuesday, October 5th. This is Jaguars Happy Hour. And now, a guy who demands to be saluted in the hallway, J.P. Shadrick.
That is inaccurate, and this is Jaguars Happy Hour. And welcome in. My name is J.P. Shadrick. That's the accurate part. Jeff Lageman along shortly. That was Joe Fortunato and Parts Unknown today. We've got a busy program ahead, a busy 2 hours ahead here on Jaguars Radio. In fact, Shad Khan's statement on Urban Meyer. We'll go through what the Jaguars owner had to say a little earlier today. We'll get our final look at the Jaguars' loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. Our first look at the Tennessee Titans, the division rivals. The division leaders are coming to town this Sunday. How do the Jaguars ignore the noise, move forward, and move on to Tennessee? That's a big question moving ahead. And the Jaguars, of course, trying to snap the franchise worst losing skid at now 19 games, 4 straight to start this season, tied for the third longest in league history. But it's a big task this week against a Titans team that can run the football. We'll see if any receivers are back for the Titans. Then at 5 o'clock today, the Urban Meyer Show will air on the Jaguars Radio Network with head coach Urban Meyer joining us. And we'll get his comments on the Shad Khan statement. That will come up at 5 o'clock today on the network, so stay tuned there. Of course, let's start with the biggest news of the week. Urban Meyer apologizing Monday for video and photos that came out on social media over the weekend after the mini-bye for the Jags.
I just apologize to the team and staff and for being a distraction, just stupid. And so I explained everything that happened and owned it, and just stupid. Should not have myself in that kind of position. No, I stayed to see the grandkids, and we all went to dinner that night at the restaurant, and then there's a big group next to our restaurant, and they wanted me to come over and take pictures, and I did. And they were trying to pull me out on the dance floor, screwing around, and I should have left. Well, I've always been so defensive of them. I remember when Trevor told me he was going to go to Vegas for his bachelor party. I was just, my gosh, man, be careful and surround yourself, and because I've seen this happen. And so the team. I spoke to a bunch of leaders one-on-one, spoke to all the players. They're good. They were focused on Tennessee, and I apologized again for being a distraction. And a coach should not be a distraction.
That was Urban Meyer, part of his statements on Monday to the media assembled here at TIAA Bank Field. Not long after that, more was posted on Twitter. And today, Jaguars owner Shad Khan issued a statement saying, quote, "I have addressed this matter with Urban. Specifics of our conversation will be held in confidence. What I will say is his conduct last weekend was inexcusable. I appreciate Urban's remorse, which I believe is sincere. Now he must regain our trust and respect. That will require a personal commitment from Urban to everyone who supports, represents, or plays for our team. I am confident he will deliver," end quote. That's Jaguars owner Shad Khan. Jeff Lageman in with us now. It's been an eventful couple of days, and it has nothing to do with football. Moving ahead here.
Well, and that's the problem, that it doesn't have anything to do with football. And in no way, shape, or form do you want a coach to ever be a distraction. In fact, the coaches are the ones that are always preaching about players not doing anything to create a distraction. And this certainly has created a distraction. And then when you stand up in front of a team and you're asking for 6 months of laser focus and giving us all that you've got for 6 months and not creating distractions, and then all of a sudden you become part of that distraction, that's a problem. And I think that when that happens, then the confidence sometimes and the believability in the head coach and the respect can erode. And that's the challenge that I think that Urban Meyer faces now going forward, is that how the locker room reacts from here on out.
Yeah, everybody's human. Everybody has a cell phone these days as well, and most of the players are on social media, can see what's out there. So you can say, put the blinders on, focus, get ready for Tennessee, but you pick this thing up again, and it's right there in front of you.
Two things on that. One is that obviously I think we all have made mistakes before, and we're not. Nobody's perfect. I was very surprised to hear that he stayed back in Cincinnati and didn't return with the team charter, because that's just how I've always known things to be done. I think the only thing that I would probably say, okay, that's understandable would be is that if a head coach had a sickness in the family, or if there was a death and attending a funeral or something of that nature. But JP, it's kind of like the captain always stays with the ship, and it certainly just doesn't have a very good look to it. I'll say that.
How do we're going through the Shad Khan statement here, and we're going to hear from Urban Meyer coming up at 5 o'clock on the Urban Meyer Show today and get his thoughts on it, obviously. Regaining trust and respect. We touched on it there a second ago. How do you think the head coach has to go about doing that? What specifically can he do to regain that?
Well, first of all, he needs to use his own terms, which is own it, right? I mean, we've heard that term many times being talked about throughout the year, and he would need to own it and to talk to the team in a team setting with the staff there and everybody present. I mean, I think that's what needs to happen. I don't know if that's happened yet or not, but that's certainly, I think, the first step, and to apologize to those that were affected by it. And this is not an easy situation to deal with, JP. I mean, I've never really kind of seen anything kind of like this. And when you had the press conference that happened, and then the second video comes out, which certainly it kind of contradicts what was said, and so that's the challenging part of all of this. And I think that's why you had a statement that was issued by ownership, and that's not something that you want to have happen during the season. Playing football is hard enough. I mean, it's incredibly hard.
I don't think you want it any time, but certainly not during the season.
No, you don't want it at all.
Right.
I mean, playing football and winning football games is hard. I mean, this football team has lost a lot of games, and I know Urban Meyer was not at the helm to lose all of the games that were lost, all 19 games or whatever. But it's not what you want to have happen at this point in the season when you're getting ready to come home and face a division opponent, and for that matter, going anywhere. I mean, you just don't want it at any point in the season.
JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, it's Jaguars Happy Hour, and again, coming up at 5 o'clock, we'll have an exclusive conversation with head coach Urban Meyer on the Urban Meyer Show on the Jaguars Radio Network, so stay tuned. We'll get his thoughts on Shad Khan's statement earlier today. So now, looking ahead a little bit, we're gonna look back to the Bengals game also, and then get into some football moving ahead here. Let's start going back, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, this was another game that the Jags had. They had it in the bag. It was two-score game, could have been a three-score game, and then the second half collapse happened again. Second week in a row that's happened.
First, it was a fantastic football game. I mean, as far as the excitement level, I mean, this was, the Jaguars cut out to an early start, and then you had some drama there at the end of the half where the Cincinnati Bengals stop them on downs. The Bengals come out and score on their next two possessions. The Jaguars answer. I mean, it was back and forth. I mean, this is as entertaining of a football game, primetime event. I mean, most of the primetime games that have happened in the National Football League have been outstanding this year. This one stayed right in line.
I was going to say, this feels like most other games we see around the NFL, not the Jaguar games.
Well, that's the games that we've been seeing primetime have been just like this. And, two number one overall pick quarterbacks that played really good. I thought Trevor Lawrence played his best football game yet. And he showed some mobility, got his first rushing touchdown of his career, and the Jaguars were able to overcome some early injuries to A.J. Cann and D.J. Chark to still be able to produce. I mean, that was a strong game, I thought, by the offense in the first half and the defense as well. And then in the second half, the defense just, once again, like the Arizona Cardinal game, they just seemed to struggle in the second half, and they struggled again against the Cincinnati Bengals in the second half. And give Joe Burrow credit. And look, they got their running game going in the second half, which they did not have at all in the first half. They did a great job on Joe Mixon in the first half. I think he had 5 carries for 14 yards in the first half. And that was the big reason why you had success against the Bengals. And then they come out in the second half, hit some explosive plays, get Joe Mixon going, and it's the tale of two halves.
I mean, that opening drive, they throw a 44-yarder to Chase down the field past Campbell, and that kind of opens things up, and here we go. And it seems like there were moments where they kind of spread it out and exploited some of the matchups they felt they had some advantages in the Jaguars secondary and linebacker core. And it worked out for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, and look, Joe Burrow also kind of had the tale of two halves.
Yes, he did.
And
it was kind of like that last night. I don't know if you watched the Monday night game. Derek Carr was like that. He was terrible in the first half.
Yeah, he wasn't very good in the first half.
Really good in the second half until the tail end of the football game, and kind of got them back in the game
I think
Las Vegas.
For me, so far, this National Football League year has been unbelievable. I mean, not talking Jaguars specifically, but I mean, as far as the entertainment
it's
value,
been unbelievable here too
of the games,
for different reasons.
Yes, but the entertainment value of some of the national games that have been out there in the NFL have been nothing short of just marvelous.
Yeah. So let's have some more of those with the Jaguars involved, but with a winning result at the end of those. That's the trick.
And the unfortunate thing is that where we're at now, that you're trying to get past this distraction.
Yeah.
To talk football. And I mean, this is not what you want to be talking about on a Tuesday.
Because everything that's happened the last 3-4 days goes into the next 3 or 4 days. And it
doesn't end.
It does not end.
It doesn't end.
No.
And because
as much as you want to move forward and say you're moving ahead to the Titans and all that, it's still just a prevailing thing.
It's going to float in the air.
That's right.
It's going to be there. The one thing I think that's a little bit different, now post-COVID or during COVID, because we're still dealing with it, I guess you could say, is that you don't have open locker rooms anymore.
That's correct. They only have a certain period outside for certain tiered members of the media to be at the walkway from the practice field.
Right.
And it's select players at the podium.
A couple years ago, the NFL had required open locker room, and the open locker room, basically the entire locker room was open to all media.
45 minutes a day. It was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I believe some Mondays, though Monday was kind of up in the air.
So you don't have that anymore. So now the players are made available, and which now you don't have – because before, to go back in the day, Pete Prisco would walk in the locker room, and he could talk to one of 53 guys anytime he wanted to, as long as the guys were in the locker room.
Did that in 2019 too, absolutely.
But one thing that happened when there was – any kind of scandals, that all of a sudden in the locker room it was like roaches and the lights turned on. Gone.
Everybody disappeared.
If there was anything going on, so
we got lunch to eat or weights to lift or something.
It's going to be a little bit. I don't want to say palatable. It's going to be a little bit easier to deal with from that perspective. But nowadays, with the players and social media and everything else, I mean, it's out there and it's not going to go away. And so I think it's a great challenge for this team this week. From a player standpoint, to find a way to kind of tune some of the things out and to focus in on preparing for a football game against a rough and tough, physical, punch-in-the-mouth offense that the Tennessee Titans have, because this is just a division rival game.
All right, we'll come back in a moment, Logs. And speaking of that, we will get into this Tennessee Titans offense. And you, my friend, will tell us how to stop Derrick Henry. We want answers today. That's what we want.
That's not an easy one to handle, I can tell you that.
Plenty ahead. We're off and running. The Urban Meyer Show coming up at 5 o'clock. The head coach will join us and discuss Shad Khan's statement from earlier today. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Jaguars Happy
Hi,
Hour
I'm
is brought to
Tito
you by
Beverage,
Dream
founder and
Finders
master
Homes.
distiller at
Homes
Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Hi folks, Frank Frangie here to tell you where to find the most authentic Southern Pit barbecue in all of Jacksonville. That's right, Bono's. For 72 years, Bono's has been smoking real pit barbecue right here on the First Coast. smoked for hours, served in minutes, and always cut to order. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field. Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you want great barbecue, head to Bono's today. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
So, it's happy hour. Let's talk whiskey options. Have you tried Citrus Distillers? Have you tried Citrus Distillers Limited Edition 2021 Barrel-Aged Jaguar Whiskey? Did you know it's only available for a limited time and manufactured in Jacksonville? Yes, Jacksonville. I said local whiskey. Try it on the rocks or in a Jack's Whiskey Sour. Citrus Distillers Jaguars Whiskey is available at local liquor stores, restaurants, and the Jaguar Stadium. Drink local, Jacksonville. Find recipes and events at jaguarswhiskey.com.
Great teams leave it all on the field. But with the powerful towing and payload that Ford F-150 delivers, you can take it all with you, too. No wonder Ford F-Series is America's best-selling truck 44 years straight. The 2021 Ford F-150, built for greatness. Visit your local Ford dealer or buyfordnow.com. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
When Jaguars news breaks, you'll hear about it first on 1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by Dreamfinders Homes, homes that fit your lifestyle. And by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
Welcome back, Jaguars Happy Hour on this Tuesday afternoon. Busy schedule ahead at Daly's Place. NF coming up October 6th. That's tomorrow. Zach Brown Band on the 8th. Alice Cooper Logs October 9th. Pitbull October 12th. Three doors down on the 14th of October. Tickets at dailysplace.com. Alice Cooper, man.
Did you know that he is one hell of a golfer?
Incredible golfer, apparently. Ace Frehley's playing with him that night from KISS.
No way.
Guitar player, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
First of all, how old are they?
Let's just say they've seen some things. That's all I'll say on that front.
There's certain guys. First of all, Alice Cooper, I believe, years ago got off of the bad things that a lot of rock and rollers were on.
Yes, he did.
But it's just amazing how some of those guys have persevered. Guys like Keith Richards, they just made it. And you go, how in the world did they even survive?
Alice Cooper is now 73 years old.
Did you ever think, JP, that
Vincent
you
Damon
could be
Furnier.
going to a concert that was headlined by a 73-year-old rocker?
Yeah, named Alice Cooper? No. But good for him, man.
That's great.
They put together a fantastic tour. Looking forward to seeing those shows coming up at Daly's Place. Also looking forward to this game on Sunday. I know that sounds weird. I'm looking forward to it because it is one of the great challenges twice a year to face the Tennessee Titans running game. And how do you defend it? It seems like, at least the trend has been once a year the Jaguars defense plays it okay. And then the second game, usually Derrick Henry runs for 220 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Well, let me just say this, too, that when you say you're very much looking forward to the game, so am I. And I think that's the beauty of the game is that the game sometimes it takes you when you're playing it. You think about nothing but the game. Your blinders are on.
You better.
And for some players that are dealing with whether it be personal issues or you've had this distraction that's been created this week. When you get to the game, now it tunes that out somewhat. And I think from a player standpoint, sometimes it's nice to immerse yourself in the game so that you're not talking about everything else that doesn't have anything to do with the game. Okay, then now that you're in the game, yes, you have to deal with trying to find a way to stop the best running back that the NFL has and arguably one of the most physical running backs that the league has ever seen.
To your point just a moment ago, remember the baseball movie, For the Love of the Game? Kevin Costner's a pitcher for the Detroit Tigers. And he, on the mound, he clears the mechanism, and everything just down quiet.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
and that's what football does. I mean, you hear a lot of guys talk, and that may be going through some type of, and I'm not saying like personal issues, what's happened here with the Jaguars, but I mean any type of thing. But let's say it's a family sickness or a death in the family. For example, there were games that some great NFL players, Hall of Fame type players, Brett Favre loses his dad and then plays one of the most incredible games that he's ever played.
In the black hole.
In the black hole in Oakland, okay.
Unbelievable.
And he talked about how it took him to a different place and it allowed him to kind of tune out everything for just that 3 hours. And I think some players will get to that point this week because, here's the reality. There's going to be a lot of conversation this week that has nothing to do with Derrick Henry, that doesn't have anything to do with the Titans defense or special teams or the rest of their offensive players. And that's where I think the players are, they've got to find a way to pull themselves together and get the focus back.
Well, when that conversation does turn to Derrick Henry, how the hell do you stop this guy?
I've always heard coaches have different terms for it, but I will tell you this, it's not easy. And there's a lot of different ways. People say, well, you got to get him before he gets started. Well, yeah, that's easy to do, but he gets started. I mean, he's a great back. And you got to tackle him low because you got to avoid the stiff arm. Well, you know what? He stiff arm guys down to the ground. Well, you got to make him go outside. He's not a speed player. Oh, yes, he is. In fact, the Titans, a lot of their game plan and their design is to get him to the outside so that he can get on the force players that might be smaller, defensive backs or safeties or whatever. So there is no easy answer. The answer is this. You need to play good, sound football, and you need to make sure that everybody's flying to the football because it takes more than one to bring him down because he's a great back. He's a great back. And I'll never forget when the Jaguars drafted T.J. Yeldon.
Yes.
And JP, you'll remember this.
Yes.
And I believe they drafted him in the second round. And I remember thinking to myself, I can't believe they just drafted the guy who was the starter because every time they put in his backup, the backup was better than him, which the backup was Derrick Henry.
Well, I mean, over the last 10 years in Tuscaloosa, you could throw them all in a pot and they're all going to start at some point. They're all starters. They all roll in there and play.
Sure.
I mean, Josh Jacobs didn't even play running back much, and he was a first-round pick as a running back.
And he's a great back.
With the Raiders.
He's one of the best Alabama backs that's in the league, right?
He scored like 70% of his touches or something were touchdowns.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
It's impressive. I mean, first of all, Derrick Henry, I think, even though as much as Jaguar fans would like to hate him, he's a local guy.
You can still dislike the guy.
Well, you can dislike him
for a day. You know what I
dislike?
Let me begin. I'll start with this. You know what I dislike? I dislike the hair thing flopping and the drawstrings flapping when he's running down the sideline uncontested. I hate that.
Spoken like a true bald guy.
I don't like it.
It's just jealous that Derrick Henry
I'm jealous
has
that he's
flowing locks.
running for 70-yard touchdowns on the Jaguars defense. That's what I'm jealous about. I'll start with that.
Goodness,
I dislike the guy.
I
never thought.
And I know he's from Yulee, and I know he's probably a nice guy. I've never met him, but I don't care. He's wearing a Titans hat.
You went public with that.
I said
with your jealousy.
Yeah, I said it. That's no secret. It's what it is, man. What do you want me to say?
I can't believe it. Oh, JP is jealous of Derrick Henry's locks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? And I'm tired of seeing it from behind when he's running down the sideline. I'm sure our defenders are too, or seeing it from the ground looking up at him when he's stiff-armed 5 guys running
I just
down the
remember
field.
Because you go back and obviously I think it was him and Fred Taylor's son and Derrick Henry, if I remember correctly. Derrick Henry is the nationwide all-time high school rushing yards leader, correct?
All time.
And then Fred Taylor's son who
he was no slouch.
Was somewhere close to Derrick Henry.
Yeah, Kelvin Taylor.
And Kelvin Taylor, and they were having games on ESPN.
So they played each other in Yulee their last year. I guess it was Derrick Henry's senior year. I didn't go to the game, but there were like half the Jaguars team went to the game and stood on the sideline. It was a Friday night up in Yulee, and it was like the most crowded game you could ever think of. I remember seeing the highlights of the game, and Henry's running for touchdowns down the field as he always did, 400 yards or something, and all these scores. And then Kelvin Taylor bounces back and runs a big one. It was like that game. That's why they went. So,
and which was it? First of all, arguably one of the greatest high school games of all time, by two great players, and one of them goes on to win the Heisman and now is the best back in the National Football League, and that's not even debatable. There's nobody even close to him. And one thing also to factor in, JP, Derrick Henry is now not just a runner, he is also a receiver for the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, no. See, he never really did anything against the Jaguars in the passing game. He only has one receiving touchdown against the Jags, and it was a little screen to the left at the end of 17, and he took it 66 yards down the seam after that for a touchdown. So it was all run. It wasn't like catch and run.
Derrick Henry is the second leading receiver
for
the Tennessee Titans right now with 14
it just gets
catches.
worse. The hits keep on coming, man. What is that?
And his locks are getting longer.
Yeah.
Yours are not.
9 will never. But he's obviously first in the league in rushing attempts, first in the league in rushing yardage, and tied for first in rushing touchdowns with 4 of those. The question is going to be, I think, as the years go on, and I think a lot of people will have the same question about Derrick Henry's career moving ahead. He takes a lot of shots. He does, because people take their shot at him when they can. Mm-hmm. So he does take some licks now. How will he be able to handle the long-term grind of this? How many years are left in this big body of his?
Well, JP, I mean, so far he has shown 0 signs of slowing down.
He does a great job off the field in the offseason.
He's 6'3" maybe 4-ish.
Right.
Okay, and he's 250 pounds, and that's a legitimate 250 pounds. He reminds me a little bit. When I was in high school, we were in our playoff games, and I believe I was a junior in high school, and so we're in the playoffs, and we're playing. I can't remember the name of the team. It was somewhere a high school football team that was somewhere from the southwest corner of Virginia, and we go to this playoff game, and they've got this running back, and he's about 260 pounds, and he was just a big roly-poly kind of guy, but he could run. And I'll never forget the coach, Coach Ed Scott, who was our great head coach at Parkview High School in Sterling, Virginia. And he's talking to the team, and he's telling everybody about how our tackling plan. We're gonna take him low, and we're going to knife his legs out from underneath of him, and we're going to make sure we fly to him and get as many people as we can get there to him. And he turns and looks at me, JP, and he goes, I want everybody to go low except for you, Jeff. He goes, I want you to hit him right in the mouth.
Great. Awesome, Coach.
We get in the game, we're like, this guy is like a tank. So, I mean, you'd like to have somebody that can hit Derrick Henry in the mouth, but I'm going to tell you now, it's not going to end up so good if you try to hit him in the mouth.
No. Because he's going to hit you in the mouth with a stiff arm, and you're going to go flying about 3 yards if you're a smaller guy, especially. Plenty ahead. There's a lot more to talk about on the Titans' offense. We'll get to that coming up a little bit.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to make the Derrick Henry stiff arm highlight reel.
It's long already for
players
the Jaguars.
talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how good Derrick Henry's stiff arm is. They literally have drills. With opposing teams have drills for Derrick Henry stiff arm. You remember in years past? And the Jaguars in years past weren't the only teams that had that. They literally practice on knocking the stiff arm down to get into the framework of the body of Derrick Henry.
There was it the Josh Norman one where he kind of lines it up. He's running wide. He sees Norman coming and kind of keeps his arm in, and then Norman's kind of get in there, and then he throws him across into the sideline, and they're all on his face. Anyway, all right, let's avoid that this week. We're back in a moment. Plenty more ahead on the offense for the Titans. They could have a couple receivers back, and not just any receivers. Quarterbacks playing well. They've got a lot of options. And a little later, we'll get into the Titans' defense and what the Jaguars can do this week on the offensive side of the football. And again, coming up In about 30 minutes, 5 o'clock, it's the Urban Meyer Show on the Jaguars Radio Network. Head coach Urban Meyer will join us and address the Shad Khan statement from earlier today. Check out the official Jaguars Podcast Network, a free subscription on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download your pods. Give us that 5-star rating as always. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Headquartered right here in Jacksonville, CSI Companies is one of the fastest growing workforce solutions companies in the nation. As a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI has the resources necessary to scale with any enterprise, yet they are small enough to maintain the agility, personal service, and remarkable experience they've become known for over the past 3 decades. This is your workforce and your business reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com to learn more.
Great teams leave it all on the field. But with the powerful towing and payload that Ford F-150 delivers, you can take it all with you, too. No wonder Ford F-Series is America's best-selling truck 44 years straight. The 2021 Ford F-150, built for greatness. Visit your local Ford dealer or buyfordnow.com. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Hey Jaguars fans, it's always game on with Dunkin's $2 medium hot or iced coffee Tuesdays for rewards members. The NFL season is more than just what happens on game day. That's why Dunkin' wants to get you through the game week too. During football season, the best call is always Dunkin'. Whether it's the morning after a late night game or getting hyped for the week to come, pick up a cup of your favorite coffee and tackle the day with Dunkin'. Join today and order ahead of the Dunkin' app. Jacksonville Jaguars run on Dunkin'. Exclusions apply. Participation may vary. Limit 1 per week.
Why live with foot or ankle pain? If you have persistent pain, numbness, tingling, burning pain on the bottom of your foot, or swelling that doesn't improve with home treatment, it may be time to see Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Our foot and ankle specialists have innovative new options to help you get back in the swing of things without persistent pain that slows you down. Call JOI 2000 or go to joionline.net for an appointment.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Jacksonville Sports Talk for Jacksonville sports fans. 1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by TIAA Bank. Turn potential into progress. And by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. My name's JP Shadrick. Jeff Lageman alongside. Coming up at 5 o'clock, the Urban Meyer Show. The Jaguars head coach will join us today, and we'll get his reaction and much more on the Shad Khan statement from earlier today. It has been quite an interesting couple of days around TIAA Bank Field, to say the least. All that coming up at 5 o'clock on the Jaguars Radio Network. Hope you'll stick with us right here on 1010XL. And 92.5 FM, also here in Jacksonville today and on Jaguar social media. Let's finish up the Titans offense. You know, I don't know about the hairstyles of Julio Jones and A.J. Brown and those guys like I know Henry. I'm jealous.
Well, that's because you're an Alabama guy.
That's what it is. But Julio Jones is one of the best to do it in the NFL. He was out last week, as was Brown. And if those guys are back, then that balances everything out, and you give Tannehill some other weapons down the field, and that can be a real dangerous issue for this Jaguars team.
Well, and it could be a dangerous issue because, I mean, we saw this Jaguars team have a hard time dealing with some big plays against the Cincinnati Bengals. We saw that with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, for example, the Cincinnati game, you had a 44-yarder Jamar Chase, and Boyd had a couple big plays, explosive plays that happened the week before against the Cardinals. I'm trying to remember the name of the wide receiver that wasn't even a main guy, but A.J. Green had a couple big plays against the Jaguars.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get easy. The only good thing maybe about where the Titans are at right now is that their passing game is not hitting on all cylinders, and that, okay, Julio Jones didn't play last week, so is there going to be a little bit of a ramp-up time needed for him to kind of hit his stride? And, how good is A.J. Brown? What's the chemistry like with Tannehill? But I can tell you this, Tannehill's not off to his best start as a pro. In fact, he's off. He's off the mark. And when you have a great back, the one thing that always is a threat is play action. That's where explosive plays come. Probably 70% of the explosive plays in the league come off of play action, and if you've got the best back in the league, there's your opportunity for having those explosive plays. And so that's why I've always said this, and especially with this Jaguars defense, because they're not doing a very good job right now of affecting the passer. They have to be not just okay. They have to be top-notch against the run if they're going to try to impact the passer, because that's an area they're struggling in right now.
Yeah, got to slow that down, and then
Where's
where's the answer for that? Is it? We talked about this on a Monday show with Pete and Tony.
You want to know the answer to that?
I can't wait to hear this.
Okay, here's the answer, and I'm a firm believer in this, JP. Playing defense in the National Football League, stopping the run is about attitude. Stopping the pass is about talent. And that if you're doing a good job against the run, because that means you're committed to it and you can scheme it up.
Yeah.
To stop the pass, you have to have the guys that can rush the passer, and you have to have enough guys that can cover the receivers.
Mm-hmm. They make plays on the ball and all that stuff. Yeah.
And I will always believe that.
Wow.
And I think that they're working on it, and they added a lot of guys in free agency to address the best they could. But the reality is, you're not going to find a great pass rusher around every free agent corner, because teams just typically don't let them walk.
I think you could argue that a lot of the work they did in free agency in the offseason was to stop the run, because that was priority number one. If they don't stop the run at all, then they can't do anything.
Well,
so the interior
guys,
guys, Malcolm Brown and Roy Robertson Harris and all those big guys in the middle.
And let me add this too. I mean, they added him in free agency, but I also will say that the one guy that I think is playing really well up front right now for this Jaguars football team, Adam Gotsis. Last year, I thought he was dragging the one leg that he was coming back from an injury, and I think it was an ACL, possibly. This is a guy that was a second-round pick of the Denver Broncos. And you could see clearly at the beginning of the year last year that he just didn't have the power in the leg. Well, as the season wore on, he started to get better. This year, he looks like a little bit of a different player to me. I think he's impacting the game in a nice way. He's stout, very stout against the run. He had a sack this past game. He's got 2 sacks on the season now. But they need to find a way to get more people to affect the passer. Josh Allen needs to raise the level of play. Miles Jack needs to raise his level of play. Shaq Griffin, Rayshawn Jenkins, and these guys need to raise their level of play, because that's the only way that you can get better, is that by individuals taking care of their job and improving on the performance of their job.
Let's flip it around now, Logs. You think back to the Titans of about 4 or 5 years ago on defense, and Jarrell Casey pops in your head. He was kind of their big guy up front.
He was a big guy with the teeniest calves you've ever seen.
But he was always an issue, right?
He had calves like this big around, and it was weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, how does a guy that's a defensive tackle that is, close to 300-ish, and he's got calves as big as, I don't know, who do we got around here that's skinny?
I don't know. But no, he was an issue. But now he's no longer
None of us
there.
are skinny. I'm struggling to find anybody.
Don't look around here.
Skinny.
So Rashaan Evans is their leading tackler, linebacker, right? Harold Landry's there. He's an outside linebacker in this
Landry's
scheme.
a good player.
I mean, but who else is up front on this defense? Player. Simmons is up front.
Yeah, Simmons is a good player. He's a force, can be a force in the middle. But they just, that's a defense that is kind of similar to the Jaguars in that they're still trying to find more talent, and some of the talent that they have had has just kind of been okay. And they swung many times and I think John Robinson does a really good job with that football team, the general manager there. Mm-hmm. I like some of the things that he's done. I think he does a pretty good job. And but sometimes it takes time to build talent. And much like here with Trent Baalke and Urban Meyer taking over, they can't change this defense instantly by the snap of a finger in 1 year of a draft and free agency. It takes a little bit of time. You got to have free agent guys impact it, and you also have to be able to address your defense through the lifeblood of any franchise, which is the draft. And right now they haven't gotten a lot of production out of the defensive picks yet. And hopefully in the future, those guys will all continue to get better and improve and start having an impact for this defense.
The Jaguars offense mixed in some more of that read option run with Trevor Lawrence last week. Of course, hand the ball off a bunch to James Robinson in the first half against Cincinnati. They got away from it in the second half a little bit and couldn't run the ball effectively in the second part of that game. But, that feels like it's what it's going to be. I mean, Trevor's, I think, running the football now about 6, 8, 9, 10 times a game. 10 might be a little heavy, but just to mix it in there and kind of keep him comfortable and keep the defense off balance at read option, maybe an option down in their goal line, but maybe not on 4th and 1 again. I think that's going to be what it is moving ahead. At least that's the feeling just seeing it the last couple of weeks, mixing it in more and more with Trevor.
Well, I mean, first of all, it can always be good, and it makes it easier for an offensive coordinator if the quarterback has the threat of mobility, because it makes them account for the quarterback as a runner, which is the whole purpose of the read option. A lot of times in the National Football League, if you have a classic drop-back quarterback that doesn't have the ability to run, okay, now you're not accounting for him being a runner. And it's different because Trevor has the ability to run the football, and it was, I think, a season high as far as the number of carries goes against the Bengals, and he did a good job for the most part. When he had that touchdown rushing on that drive that he had, I think it was a 7-yard touchdown run.
Big play, yeah.
That was a really good one-on-one move that he had against the defensive end, Ohio State guy.
Sam Hubbard.
Huh?
Hubbard flying around.
Sam Hubbard.
Yeah, he's sliding around.
And it was an excellent play design and a great one-on-one move that Trevor had. In fact, we're going to be drawing this one up.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
For Jags Wired tomorrow night.
Baby. I love it.
Tomorrow night?
Yes.
On Jags Wired. And then on
Jags Wired.
Jags Wired.
Nice.
That's on Fox.
On Fox 30.
Fox 30.
What time? 7?
7:30. 7:30.
7:30 on Fox 30 tomorrow. Thank you, Dave DeCandis.
That would be tomorrow. So, and then on Thursday for Jaguars All Access, we're actually going to take a look at James Robinson's first touchdown.
I like this.
If I was to give you 7 guesses of who got the key block, 7 guesses, JP, who got the key block on James Robinson's first touchdown run? Go.
The new tight end, Dan Arnold.
No.
Cam Robinson.
No.
Trevor Lawrence.
No.
How about the right tackle, Jawan Taylor?
No.
Give me Marvin Jones.
Nope.
Give me Jamal Agnew.
You actually got it on the 5th.
Really?
Marvin Jones Jr.
Marvin Jones, all right.
Gets the key block.
See?
On a J-Rob touchdown.
He does
Somebody
it all.
gave it to you in your ear.
No, not at all. That's honest truth. That's the honest truth.
Reber?
No, never. Brent Reber would not.
He didn't?
No. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, he got it. Got it.
Got it.
Got it 5.
But I mean, he's a team guy. You need a guy to do everything. He's a good route runner. He's the reliable security blanket for the quarterback in the passing game, and he's run blocking now.
Tune in to Jaguars All Access to see it.
Love it. Can't wait to see that.
Yep.
We're back in a moment. Plenty more ahead. The injury report. A couple of guys go on IR for the Jags this week. One comes off the COVID list. And we'll take a look at the AFC South standings and the results from the division this past weekend and week 4. And if you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150. It's loaded with impressive capability and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between. and this truck makes tough look easy. No wonder it's the official truck of the NFL and proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Coming up at 5 o'clock, the Urban Meyer Show. 15 minutes from now, the Jaguars head coach will join us and discuss the Shad Khan statement from earlier today. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond. We all want to look and feel our best, so why not take the next step with a consultation with Dr. Patrick Basil, board-certified plastic surgeon. Offering a variety of wellness, skincare, and aesthetic treatment options, you can look better, feel more confident, and transform into your best self. They offer the most advanced, innovative treatments in a modern, patient-centered environment. Learn more at TransformJax.com. That's TransformJax.com, or call 904-222-6262.
I'm Chantel Chark, wife of DJ Chark. My husband is always prepared with a game day plan, and so am I. I'm always looking for easy ways to save time, and Publix helps me tackle everything from pre-game prep to post-game cleanup with prices that are never out of bounds.
This week at Publix, assorted varieties and sizes of Pantene, Head & Shoulders, Herbal Essences, and Aussie hair care items are $2 off when you purchase 2.
Available at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Jags fans, did you know you can ride your bike to every Jaguars home game at TIAA Bank Field in Valley Park for free? That's right. Stop by our bicycle check-in tent sponsored by Alert Today Florida near Gate 1 at TIAA Bank Field. An on-duty ZenCog bike professional will park your bike and ensure it's secure during the game. When the game is over, return your claim ticket to pick up your bike. For cycling safety tips, visit alerttodayflorida.com. Remember, Alert Today, Alive Tomorrow, because safety doesn't happen by accident.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The station that the Jaguars listen to, 1010XL. Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back. Final moments of Jaguars Happy Hour coming up at 5 o'clock. 10 minutes or so from now, the Urban Meyer Show. The Jaguars head coach will join us and discuss the comments from Jaguars owner Shad Khan and his statement earlier today. Veterans, choose VA for the benefits you've earned. Visit choose.va.gov. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, glad you're along with us. You know, I was during that commercial timeout, there was one that ran from Alert Today, Florida, right? Mm-hmm. The walking safely on the road and bicycle safety and all that. We did an event today. It was Walk to School Day with the Jaguars at Biscayne Elementary School.
Okay.
It was a virtual event where we go in on Zoom in the classrooms. It's kindergarten to second grade. And it was myself and Ben Barch, Jaguars now right guard, who's going to get significant playing time.
Yeah, with the A.J. Can going to IR, he will be the starting right guard.
And Ben was fantastic with the kids. He's if you've ever had a conversation with him, you're going to hear from him a little bit more now, it sounds like, moving ahead with what's going on with A.J. Can. And now in his second year, trying to come along, and this is a way to come along, jump in the lineup.
Well, he was a small college guy, St. John's. Mm-hmm. And, in fact, had a conversation with General Manager Trent Baalke back in the preseason about it, and he thought that he was vastly improved. And I was not quite the believer yet at that point, but Trent felt very confident in him, and Trent's been right. I mean, I think he's played very well so far. He had an issue last year at times, Ben Bartch did, with his feet, trying to keep up with everything. And that when he would make contact sometimes we always say, hey, you got to be able to walk and talk and chew gum at the same time. Well, when you're being an offensive lineman, you have to be able to use your hands, and then your hands may be in one position, but your feet need to continue to move. And sometimes Ben's feet kind of just stopped, and then that got him into trouble. But he has improved vastly, and I think he has made a big stride forward, and I think he's ready for this.
Let's take a look at the Jaguars injury report presented by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. These were Monday transactions. Walker Little activated from the reserve COVID-19 list. That's good news. And then wide receiver DJ Chark Jr. and A.J. Cann, the right guard, placed on injured reserve. They do not have to place a designation on the IR. It could be to return. It could be for the year. It just depends. It has to be 3 weeks at least. So Chark, it sounds like, is a bit more than that with a fractured ankle. A.J. Cann with an MCL issue, according to Urban Meyer. So there you go. You got to have somebody step up at receiver, and then Bart steps in at guard.
And A.J. was a knee, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, and then Chark, fractured. Typically 6 to 8 weeks is what you're talking about.
That's a rough one, though, man.
That's just kind of a standard fracture. So I'm not a doctor, but I play one on television sometimes.
Yes, you do. You've been cut on enough times to might have more knowledge than
most. You ever
most
break a leg?
On that? No, I have not.
I'm very lucky. I broke
knock on wood, because I might walk out of this room and do
I broke my right tibia in college in a practice, and I got leg whipped, and I had a cast from the toes all the way up to the groin, and we had, at the time at the University of Virginia, one of the greatest hand surgeons in the country, and a very highly respected, the late Dr. Frank McHugh, who was unbelievable. Unbelievable surgeon. And I ended up getting my cast, and then they took me to his house, where I stayed for a couple of days, and his wife would feed me. I was hurting. So, I hope DJ's okay, because, when you break a bone, that can hurt now. It hurt bad. I don't know if it requires surgery. I haven't heard anything of that nature.
But
unfortunate, he got rolled up on
nasty.
from behind. He's trying to block, and here comes, the pile of people, the mass of bodies chasing. I think it was James Robinson.
Yes, it was.
And they all fall on the back of DJ Chark, and it didn't look good when the cart came out.
Hate it for him. Obviously, it's a contract year for him and a big moment. He was trying to get things going in the passing game too, and it was a little slow starting there. So let's get him healthy and then figure out what happens.
I think it's a great question. Is now what?
Mm-hmm.
What do? You have guys that are on the active roster. Can they fulfill the role of DJ? Not that DJ was lights out, but this was a guy that Trevor was hoping that he could start to develop more chemistry with. Trevor felt that Marvin Jones Jr. was already considered a, quote, security blanket because they worked together. LaVisca coming off his best game.
Sure.
And he's nicked up a little bit. You can tell. Looks like maybe an ankle that's bothering him a little bit. And so who can fill that role? Can Tavon Austin? Do they elevate somebody? They've got 5 wide receivers on the practice squad.
No, Tyron Johnson is around too, who hasn't had
they've got they got guys on the active roster. Some that say we've been told that they can run, but it's hard for us to tell because we haven't seen much of them. But that's a very position heavy load on the practice squad. When you have 5 wide receivers out of a 16-man practice squad with COVID rules.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. That's nearly a third of your practice squad are wide receivers. That ought to tell you what they think about that position group as a whole.
That's the look at the injury report presented by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. Now let's look at the AFC South standings through week number 4, and the Tennessee Titans lead the way at 2-2. Houston at 1-3, Indy at 1-3, the Jaguars at the bottom at 0-4. And how about this? If the Jaguars win Sunday, they're a game out of first place. Think about that for a while.
Yeah, it's a big game, though. It's a big game away. Seriously.
It is. I'm just saying.
Indianapolis got their first victory this past Sunday, and a lot of question marks with them and their quarterback. In Houston, it has a rookie quarterback playing, so you know that the arrow's not exactly pointing up for them. And so, yes, if the Jaguars take care of business this Sunday at home against the Tennessee Titans, you at least get back in the conversation, and that would be a great thing.
If not, then it continues. It would be 20 in a row for the Jags and an 0-5 start. So let's think positively. I'm looking at these other divisions. It's like the AFC North, Pittsburgh stinks, and everybody else is 3-1, and Pittsburgh still has players on their team, right? Ben's not looking great.
Well, wait a minute. Now, I mean, Ben Roethlisberger is not playing well.
That's right.
And I've watched the film on him, and a lot of people may attribute that they're not that good around him anymore. I can tell you this, it's not. I mean, that's not the only issue. Ben Roethlisberger is not playing well.
And I'm looking at the AFC West. You got Chargers, Denver, Vegas, all 3-1 now. Kansas City at 2-2, and
that's a great division right there. Now that division right there is the elite, I think, of the AFC conferences.
Yeah, and then we could go to the NFC, but Arizona's kind of leading the way in the West. That's another good battle.
That's a strong
out west.
conference.
Tampa Bay and Carolina both 3-1 in the NFC South, and here we go. NFC East actually has a team with a winning record, so we'll see how long that lasts. How about them? How about them?
Ezekiel Elliott's gotten on a roll, so it's going to be. So far, it's been a great season, I think, as far as like from watching the league from a league standpoint, and I just hope that this Jaguars football team can break the streak.
So that's a 1 o'clock kickoff time. The Titans and the Jaguars Sunday at TIAA Bank Field. 2-2 Titans in first place. 0-4 Jaguars. Also in the division Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff time in Houston as the Texans host the Patriots. Both teams at 1-3 to start the season. The Indianapolis Colts play on Monday Night Football next week in Baltimore. The Colts and the Ravens. The Ravens at 3-1. That's at 8:15 Eastern time start on Monday night.
Yeah, I don't think Colts will be able to do much in that game.
So confident in that, huh?
No, and Tom Brady is going to take the Texans to school. I mean, after having
Tom Brady, the Patriots.
Oh, the Patriots are going to Houston.
Patriots.
Okay, I thought you said, where's Tampa going, you said?
I don't know. They're not in the division.
I thought you said the Bucs were going somewhere.
No, they're hosting the Dolphins.
Oh.
They're not in the AFC South.
I still confuse Tom Brady and were you not confused?
Are you all right?
No, let me ask you a question for real. When you were watching the game on Sunday night,
yeah,
were you not confused a little bit?
It was a little different.
It was weird, wasn't it?
You couldn't watch any of the build-up to the game not knowing who Tom played for and who he used to play for.
Well, I didn't watch any of the build-up, and of course I'm rooting for Mac Jones because he's a local guy and watched him play high school football, and so I was rooting for him. But it was just weird. I was like, wait, am I seeing Tom Brady, and then you're thinking he's in the Patriots uniform, and he's not. That was different now. I mean, you're asking me if I'm confused. Sunday night, I was confused.
It turned out to be a fantastic football game, though. It wasn't a high-scoring, up-and-down pinball machine game, but it came down to a field goal at the end that hit the upright.
Field goal at the end, and then
in the rain.
It was good to hear that Belichick and Brady had a moment in the locker room after the game.
Yeah.
Because life is too short to have any kind of issues between people. And those two had a beautiful relationship for 20 years. And I know that there are some things that were recently said by Tom Brady's trainer and a lot of things that have been insinuated, and that Belichick never told Tom Brady goodbye kind of in person, which is a damn shame. But I'm glad to see that those two, just like Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones, it's good to see.
That's right.
Life's too short for those kind of things.
It was great to see those guys on the desk together at the Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony and all that, and going through all the great Cowboys days. So there you have it. We are about a minute away or so from the Urban Meyer Show, and plenty to discuss today with the head coach, Logs.
Well, I mean, it's been a little bit embarrassing for the organization. I mean, there's no way around that. And there's a lot of work to do, I think, from that standpoint. And make no mistake about it, there's plenty of work to do.
Plenty of work and some time to get it done. The Jaguars, though, the clock is ticking for this Week 5 game against the Tennessee Titans coming up Sunday at TIAA Bank Field. A lot to get through. They'll be back on the practice field tomorrow, and we'll discuss all of that coming up with head coach Urban Meyer in just a few minutes. Thanks to Dave DeCandis for stepping in today. Joe Fortunato did our open from a remote location. Brent Reber on the video side. For Jeff Lageman, I'm JP Shadrick. Thank you for listening to Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network. The Urban Meyer Show coming up next on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Own this thing. It's ours. Come on, let's go. Duval County and 904. Let's own this stadium. Make it ours.
Welcome to the Urban Meyer Show. Urban Meyer Show. Former Jaguar Jeff Lageman and JP Shadrick discuss the latest Jaguars news with the head coach. The Urban Meyer Show starts right now.
Welcome into the Urban Meyer Show. The Jaguars getting ready for the Tennessee Titans in Week 5 at TIAA Bank Field this coming Sunday. We'll get to Jeff Lageman and head coach Urban Meyer coming up. A busy week around TIAA Bank Field. Earlier on Tuesday, Jaguars owner Shad Khan released a statement about the last couple of days. And this is from Jaguars owner Shad Khan. I have addressed this matter with Urban. Specifics of our conversation will be held in confidence. What I will say is his conduct last weekend was inexcusable. I appreciate Urban's remorse, which I believe is sincere. Now he must regain our trust and respect. That will require a personal commitment from Urban to everyone who supports, represents, or plays for our team. I am confident he will deliver. End quote. That's from Jaguars owner Shad Khan. Jags analyst Jeff Lageman with us now, along with Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer. Coach, how difficult were the conversations the last couple days, and what is your reaction initially to Mr. Khan's statement?
The conversations have been horrible. I own the mistake that I made. It was I've always looked at the job of a coach for 30-plus years that I've done this is to, everything you can possibly do to make your players comfortable play the game. That's sports performance. I give everybody the best possible situation. You put them in a good scheme. You put a good group of assistant coaches around them in a safe environment, and then get out of the way. And I didn't do that. I became a distraction, made a stupid decision, and I apologize to it. I certainly understand our owner, Mr. Khan, has been fantastic since the day I met him, and I apologize to him as well, and have to move forward and regain the trust and our players. I had conversation with our players. They were good with their leaders, and some very good. And our staff has been we're just moving forward. We got a big game to play, and I apologize for being a distraction.
Urban, the locker room is a very unique place, one that I was in for quite some time, and it can be tough to regain respect and trust in that locker room. How do you go about that?
Well, Jeff, the locker room has been my entire life. That's all I've ever looked at. I've always, even other coaches, when I was a young coach, I said, when I'd hear conversations among coaching staff, and I would always say, there's only one thing that matters in this whole facility or organization, and that's the locker room. How we build it, how we treat it, how we earn their trust, how we, that goes back to the culture of excellence, I call it around here, is how do we make sure we give them everything possible. I made the comments about I don't think when I hear our players would have to go out and get sports performance, we should do this all right here for them. So we've earned their trust in that respect. I know that for a fact. Now, the fact that I became a distraction, I've got to earn their trust back from that.
And that's not an easy thing to do. How long do you expect something like that to take? I mean, the locker room is certainly one that can be very forgiving at times, and at other times they can be not.
Yeah, every locker room's different. Every team's different. I've told people with teams, a living organism. It's driven obviously by a culture and driven by leaders. I believe we have a very strong culture. I know we have incredible leaders, but this one's on me to go out and coach my very best, give them everything possible that I could do to help them have success.
Coach, during that statement, Mr. Khan said the personal commitment to everyone who supports, represents, or plays for the Jaguars. What does that mean to you personally?
Well, it means, I made a comment when I got here about the logo, about an owner who wants to win in the worst way. That's one of the reasons I came here. I admire the guy so much, and his drive is in the purest form, and it's for Jacksonville. And so that's what makes me so angry at myself, that I lived that, I believed that, and I failed. And I got to get it back, and I will.
Urban, with this distraction, trying to get the team refocused on a game in Tennessee, the players are going to get questions throughout the week, I'm sure, not only from local media but national media, and then also the visiting team's media. How do you try to attempt to kind of focus away from the distraction to get a team ready to play a football game?
Once again, I don't believe that's in my court. We're going to do the best, but you know this, Jeff, as well as anyone, that the leaders on our team are going to make that decision. And it depends how much trust you have built up with them, how we structure everything this week, and focus on winning that game. So I'm going to be as extremely clear as I can. Our staff is working their tails off, but you know as well as I do that the ownership of this team is with the players.
Coach, big ball game coming up Sunday in a lot of ways, right? I mean, this is a big one to kind of get back on track here and get things moving in the right direction again.
Huge game, and we played our best game against the Bengals. You know, that offensive performance and Trevor Lawrence. I went back and watched that thing 100 times, and really high-end execution. You know, James Robinson ran hard. Laviska had a great day. Our offensive line, you know, we lost a couple. One of the issues we're going to deal with, we lost two very good players, A.J. Cannon, DJ Shark, and they're gone for a while. So who's going to step up and play? You know, Barch came in and did pretty well. He's a good player. But you know, our depth is hit. Walker Little is going to have to come in and provide depth along with Will Richardson. But if you build on the, you know, from week 1 to week 2 to week 3 to week 4, I mean, that was high. I mean, we should have been up 21-0 at halftime. Defense played great in the first half and obviously did not play great in the second half. We have 4 or 5 critical errors in the second half that couldn't get off the field.
Urban will come back in a moment. Plenty more. We'll look back a little more at that Cincinnati game and put a bow on that one and move forward a little later in the show to the Tennessee Titans as well. We are off and running. This is the Urban Meyer Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's been around longer than your quarterback. When you put it on, everyone knows it's game time. So legendary, it deserves its own Hall of Fame. Members-only jackets, undeniable quality and style for over 45 years. Scratch and claw your way over to membersonly.com. Get ready for football season with a jacket that can only be summed up in one word: iconic. Use discount code Jaguars at checkout for 35% off on all iconic racer jackets. Members only. When you put it on, something happens.
I'm Chantel Chark, wife of DJ Chark. My husband is always prepared with a game day plan, and so am I. I'm always looking for easy ways to save time, and Publix helps me tackle everything from pre-game prep to post-game cleanup with prices that are never out of bounds.
This week at Publix, assorted varieties and sizes of Pantene, Head & Shoulders, Herbal Essences, and Aussie hair care items are $2 off when you purchase 2.
Available at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show rolls along. Jaguars Game Day broadcasts are presented by ViStar Credit Union. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, and head coach Urban Meyer. And we're going to go ahead and put a bow on the Cincinnati game here, Coach. It didn't end up, obviously, the second half didn't go as planned in that game, 14-0. Just looking back at it, that goal line situation, I asked you about it right after the game, right before halftime, the decision to go for it, and the play call and everything that went into that situation. Did you look back at that again? Would you have done it the same way twice?
I think we'd have made a different play call. I think those are when you're facing a team that has Joe Burrow, you want to get points. It was very tight in there, and our offensive line was blocking them. James Robinson was rushing hard, and we were going to run a little flick play because we felt they would be overloaded in the A-gap, E-gap inside, and the defensive end came upfield and Trevor kept the ball. So, there's a lot of when I heard it come over the headset, there was part of me, but I know that it's well thought out. We just need to execute better.
Urban, I totally understand the call there where you were trying to get the ball in one of your best players' hands, which is Trevor Lawrence, and James Robinson was certainly an option on that play. But Trevor, I thought there was a distinct change in the way that some of the play calls that you had on offense, that Trevor became a viable running threat of the scoring drive that he had, a 7-yard touchdown run. He converted 2 3rd-and-1s. Is that something that going forward you're like, hey, we like this and we want to keep this in our plan?
Yeah, the vision I had from day one is going to be the complementary offense between a multiple tight end set downhill run game, which matches. That's why he went out and got Manhurts as a tight end and Luke Farrell. We want to be able to move the line of scrimmage. We have a powerful running back in James Robinson. We complemented him with Carlos Hyde. The research that I've done, and it's really it's research and obvious, is that how do you help a young quarterback have balance and be able to run the ball? But then also Trevor, for including grade school, high school, and college, has been a shotgun quarterback. He's used to being back there, seeing the defense, not turning his back to the defense, and also being involved in the run game, whether it be an RPO, which he had a couple of beautiful ones Saturday or Sunday. So, yeah, that was a decision we all made, that we got a little more creativity and also utilize one of the best players on the field, Trevor Lawrence. And
one of the players that you utilize in the ball game, I was asked before the game what kind of role that Dan Arnold might you expect from him, and I was like, well, you only had the guy for a couple of days. I can't imagine a whole lot, but from what we saw in the ball game, the tight end that you added in the C.J. Henderson trade came out of the gate and proved his worth, I thought, in the first game.
Yeah, I told you, Jeff, earlier that there was a guy that we ID'd in the free agent market. It couldn't work out because of the financial pieces of it, but all of us, and I really love the guy. I think he's you hear what kind of, he was on a leadership group at the team he was on. He did homework and talked to former players who have played with him, and then you look at his skill set. He's a hurdler coming out of college. He's got great ball skills, and once you get to know him like we do now, he's outstanding. I am so excited, and so is Trevor, about his future. I mean, we had him for 3 days, and he plays and plays well. And you can see the differentiation of, when that ball's in his hands, he made a great move and got an extended yardage, and then another one he outran an angle by a backer. And so we're anxious to continue to involve him.
Urban, you mentioned earlier the injuries that happened on offense in the game. A.J. Cann sounds like he's down for a little bit. DJ Chark with a fractured ankle. But in the game, you had a few other guys in the passing game step up. Jamal Agnew was involved in the offense a little bit more, I think, than he had been in the past. And guys like that kind of stepped in there and made some plays at wide receiver. And that's a spot now where you're going to have some guys step up, especially on the outside.
Right. Aggs is an interesting character. He was came from a small school as a corner and a returner. And then Bev got him at Detroit, and they started teaching him his receiver play, and obviously he's as good a guy as you ever meet, worker, grinder, and but he's got receiver skill. We saw that he's much better now than he was in the spring. He's going to be a part of the rotation, even more so now. He's dynamic. You saw that on the 200-plus yard kickoff returns. You saw that on a speed sweep, and you saw that an incredible sideline catch in the game. So very pleased with him.
That sideline catch was for 27 yards, and an impressive job by him getting his feet in bounds right there at the end. But I thought the throw by Trevor Lawrence was outstanding on that play. He had pressure in his face, and he stands in. He makes a great throw. And overall, his ability to protect the football this past game was certainly a big step forward.
Yeah, huge step. And my man worked so hard at it. Schottenheimer and him worked together so hard. It's fun to watch. It's great to see his development, his comfort with the players around him. It's a new system, a bunch of new personnel. And, we should have won that game. And Trevor played lights out. In my mind, he played lights out. He was very involved in the run game, scored a touchdown, got another critical first down. You can see he's protecting himself to not put himself in harm's way, yet, moving the chains. And his accuracy was really good, but the best thing and most important thing is took care of the football.
Yeah, led that big second-half scoring drive, too, when they had tied the game 14-all, and they go right down the field, and you guys get ahead by a touchdown there. On the defensive side of the football, Coach, the second half didn't get off the field. We talked about this earlier as well in the post-game after. They kind of switched some things up, it felt like, on offense in the second half. What changed for Cincinnati and Joe Burrow in the offense?
Well, first half we held them 18 yards rushing, 100 yards passing, and 30 was on the first play. Everything was kept in front of us, and it's the second time now in the second half they come down and score. And I believe that happened against Cardinals, and it happened this week. And they hit a big play down the sideline, and then a couple plays later. And when you really evaluate it, there's some critical errors that took place, and then. Cincinnati made a decision to do a couple of one back, three tight ends and got a little bit of a run game going for one drive. But the rest of the game was shotgun, empty and trying to isolate matchup issues for us, and they did a good job.
Yeah, Joe Mixon in the first half, Urban, I think he had 5 carries for about 14 yards. Second half was a totally different story, and then all of a sudden they get the running game going, and then the explosive plays happen. How do you do a better job defensively at preventing the explosive plays and affecting the quarterback more going forward?
Well, great question, and there's 2 things that we've identified, and that's to show this same shell of coverage, to not be clear what our coverage is, and the second is do a great job of mixing man and zone. When you get caught in man coverage and they like the matchup, that's hard to do. If they can identify it's always zone when it is zone, then they can find holes in your zone. So the best defenses are the ones that make it look the same, make it play closely the same, but they're man and zone.
All right, Urban, we are on to Tennessee right after this. It's the Urban Meyer Show on Jaguars Radio.
On the road, there's a thin line between safety and tragedy. Don't cross it. Give law enforcement, first responders, and service professionals the space to safely do their jobs. When you see flashing lights, move over a lane or slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. See lights? Move over, Florida. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Scrubbing soon to a location near you. You know and love the Scrubble Stars at the Town Center, Fleming Island, and Atlantic Beach. Now get ready for 4 new locations scrubbing soon this year, featuring Kernan, San Jose, Racetrack Road, and Oakleaf. Give your car the glitz and glam it deserves at the best car wash in town with free car prep, vacuums, window cleaner, and more. You can also catch us at every Jags home game and cool down at the Scrubbies Misting Arch. Drive in to see us now and in the future at our Scrubbing Soon locations. Scrubbles, trust the bow tie. You'll know quality once you arrive.
Hard Rock Sportsbook is coming to Florida. Join the Seminole Tribe of Florida and Hard Rock for safe, trusted, and completely legal sports betting. Go to hardrocksportsbook.com to get all the latest details leading up to launch. Play remotely from anywhere in Florida, including on your phone or computer or in person at Seminole Casinos. Want great promotions like free bets, odds boosts, and bonuses? Hard Rock Sportsbook will have all your favorite bets and promotions. Hard Rock Sportsbook, the best place to be a Jaguars fan. Coming soon. Must be at least 21 and physically present in Florida to wager. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-800-522-4700.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show rolls along on this Tuesday afternoon. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, and Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer. It is on to Tennessee and a familiar face on the other sideline against you, Mike Vrabel. Take us through your best Mike Vrabel days back in the old days.
I first met Mike when he played. We're from Northeast Ohio, both of us, and he was obviously a great player. And I was invited by Coach Belichick to visit the Patriots a couple of times. That was my first really sitting down and get to know Mike Vrabel, and obviously the way he worked, him, Brewski, and Tom Brady, that whole group was phenomenal. The leadership, the way they led the locker room was, and obviously the great players. And then when I got hired at Ohio State, I kept Luke Fickell as our defense coordinator, who, by the way, is doing great at Cincinnati. Yeah. And he asked me to keep Mike Vrabel. And Mike Vrabel had only coached 1 year. I asked, I interviewed him, and you could tell he was different. You could tell that, he was a great player, but he was a great player because he understood the game so well. And he understood the work ethic, the necessity of work ethic to be great. And I fell in love with the guy. He's awesome, man. He's a great person. He's got a great family. He's hard to work as coach as I've ever had. And he really understands people, and he really understands, obviously, football.
Well, and he understands that he's got a great back in Derrick Henry, who is a local product, and Derrick Henry is going to be obviously the biggest challenge for your football team this week, a guy that's 6'3", 250, pushes defensive backs around like they're nothing, and he's got game-breaking speed, which is amazing for a big man.
Yeah, I've coached against Derrick Henry in college one time when we played Alabama, and he had a big run on us, and you got to stop him. I'm saying the obvious, but a big cat like that's that fast. And they run the stretch as well as anybody, and Derrick, I'm sure, be the first one to tell you they got a really good offensive line that blocks really well for him. So you just got to, that's one of our strengths is against the rush, but this is going to be a challenge of challenges.
Yeah, that's one of those where I think Fred Taylor had told me in the past before his at least idea of how you slow down Henry is get in the backfield early and get your shots in on him, because once he gets that head of steam and gets outside against the little guys, that's trouble.
Yeah, a little easier said than done. That's the offensive line's job, not to let you get in the backfield. But, yeah, that's when you see him. The Cardinals, I'll tell you what, the Phoenix Cardinals defense was outstanding, and one of the best defensive performances I've ever seen against Tennessee early in the season. And they did, basically that's what happened. They didn't let him get a running start at you.
And Ryan Tannehill not only has a big back, but he's got some big wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones. This is a challenge for your defense in more ways than one, and it's not just about Derrick Henry.
Yeah, two of them did play last week in the loss to the Jets, and they're I've coached against Julio Jones many times too when he was at Alabama, and tremendous player, obviously, and great size, strength. And Brown is, they brought him in, and he's it's a really good team. They put together in all areas a really good team.
What do you remember the most about Julio at Alabama? There were some big games, obviously, in those days.
Huge games, two championship games, and I had Joe Hayden and Janoris Jenkins were my corners, and we beat them in 08 and they beat us in 09, and I just remember first time he walked on the field. Well, I actually sat in his house, recruited him, and a good guy, but I could tell he's kind of headed to Alabama. But you just just sheer size and speed, he's a specimen.
Defensively for the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel is a defensive-minded coach, and does that give you maybe a little bit of a know-how on his defensive scheme, and what's their personnel like?
Yeah, the personnel inside, the big guy inside, his name's slipping me right now, but he's a tremendous player. He's probably the best player on defense for
Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, Simmons, tremendous player. Really good safety, just good across the board. But he's very disruptive, very good pass rusher, and he's big. But no, Mike's changed. Yeah, that's one thing that Mike is good at. He's going to adapt his scheme to personnel, and he has. You can see that over the years.
Urban, this week obviously it's different, and there's a lot of things going on. The most important thing for you and your team this week is what?
Most important thing is to contain the big back. That's enforce. Tannehill. The thing that hurt us last week, a couple of the bootlegs off of the runs, and they're very good at it. But when I see teams slow down the Titans, it's because it's everything we just said. You're eliminating the big hits. He's going to get his yards. He had 150 yards last week against the Jets. He's going to get his yards, but you can't just, because they run him 35 times, but you can't have the hits. And then certainly you can't, have guys running wide open in a bootleg, which when they're playing well, that's what happens.
Yeah, I've heard so many different coaches through the years use this term on Derrick Henry. It's called populate them.
Get population to the football.
That means get a lot of guys out there after.
No doubt. Coach, appreciate your time. Let's snap the skid this week and get on track against the Titans. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Head coach Urban Meyer joining us. We are back. Plenty more ahead on the Urban Meyer Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Yingling Traditional Lager. The beer for drinkers who know how to tap into their inner eagle and spread their wings. So prepare yourself for takeoff and let your night take flight. Liftoff. When your lips meet that cold, crisp amber lager, there's no looking back. So fly over the radar. Tonight's about the lager, and this lager is all about soaring higher. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings. DJ Yingling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please drink responsibly.
Great teams leave it all on the field. But with the powerful towing and payload that Ford F-150 delivers, you can take it all with you, too. No wonder Ford F-Series is America's best-selling truck 44 years straight. The 2021 Ford F-150, built for greatness. Visit your local Ford dealer or buyfordnow.com. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk. Checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk. Checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
Welcome back. It's the Urban Meyer Show. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Our thanks to head coach Urban Meyer for jumping in today. A lot to get to here, Logs, after the head coach joined us here on this Tuesday afternoon. Heading into Week 5, the Jaguars are trying to look ahead to the Tennessee Titans, but considering everything that's happened the last 3-4 days, especially today with the owner's statement and all that came out today, well, there's a lot of distraction going on. How can this team move ahead? And that's it's got to be Urban's number one goal, is to get this team back, first of all, and get them on track for Tennessee.
I think it's going to be a challenge. Because if you kind of look at how the sequence of events happened, there's somewhat of a question about the press conference yesterday, and then things come out after that, and how that's perceived by the locker room. And today typically is a player's day off, so you're not addressing that with the players, and so at some point I think the best thing that he could do, in my opinion, he's got to get in, and I don't know if he's done this yet or not, but as the head coach, you have to get in front of your team. When I say your team, I'm talking all of your players and all of your coaches, and you've got to own it. I mean, to use the term that he's used many times before. I mean, that term is around because it's got validity. And if you don't own it, then I think you lose credibility and respect. If you own it, at least you have a chance of gaining that back.
And we saw today what ownership thought of the sequence of events after yesterday's presser. So with the statement and everything today. So there you have it. That's the latest and greatest. And Urban Meyer is scheduled to speak with the media tomorrow in his normal Wednesday slot before practice. So we'll likely hear from Urban again then.
The one thing that I think is very different than maybe what he's accustomed to as well is that you're dealing with grown men. I mean, seriously, that's give you an example. You know, when I first came into the league, I mean, there's a guy. I had two guys on my football team. One of them was Dan Alexander. The other one was Pat Leahy. Pat Leahy was a kicker that was, I don't remember exactly how old he was at the time. He was probably in his 40s. And Dan Alexander was a guard that had been playing for about 16, 17 years in the National Football League. Now the Jaguars don't have guys on their roster that are like that. But I mean, there's guys that have wives and kids and families and are trying to make a living. And so it's not like you can be the imperial communist leader or anything like that, and you can force feed things or ideas to people. I mean, you've got to earn respect. I mean, these guys, it's just the way it works in the National Football League. So that's going to be a challenge. And I think Shad Khan's statement was very accurate in that things have to be earned back.
So one final look we also had with Urban on the Cincinnati game. It's been a little while ago in more ways than one, but on Thursday night, the Jaguars blew a 14-point lead. Another second-half collapse by the Jags defense. Couldn't get off the field at all Thursday night, and they kind of schemed them up a little bit in the second half and exploited some matchup situations, and the Jags defense just couldn't find their way in the second half of that game again.
Well, it's difficult because you play so well in the last two games in the first half. I mean, lights out. And then you have opportunities at the end of each half that you don't capitalize on.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, literally the opponent comes out and then kind of steamrolls you. And so you've got to find a way, if there are adjustments to be made in the second half, are you not making them? And is the opponent making them? Or is it just a matter of execution? Because a lot of people always say, okay, the tale of two halves, it must mean that one team is not making the proper halftime adjustments and maybe the other team is. And sometimes that's not always the case. It's just a matter of execution. So they've got to execute better, certainly in the second half. And if there are adjustments to be made, then they need to make them. Because defensively, they're not playing well in the second half. I don't know what the yards allowed is in the second half. I'd like to see that number.
I don't know if you'd like to see that number or not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. There's probably not a pretty one right now. But, hey, it's early. It's week 5 coming up. And your thought about that, halftime adjustments and all that, a couple of weeks ago, I think the Mannings talked about that on Monday Night Football during the Manning cast of how overrated that term is.
That was last week.
Yes.
Because they were off this week.
They were off last night.
Yeah.
But earlier. How overrated that term is, because it's a 12-minute halftime. The coaches are coming down an elevator, running across the field into the locker room. You're in there. It's 4 minutes, and then you're turning around and going back on the field again. And
well, he's right.
So it's more execution.
He's right because it's more of the execution thing. And there's a little bit more time at halftime than there is typically throughout the course of the game. But adjustments are made throughout the game. With coaches having the availability of the video or the still shots or whatever to evaluate exactly what an opponent is doing and maybe how you can react to that to make your performance better. That's happening throughout the course of the game. So it's not necessarily just you only make adjustments at halftime and that's it. I mean, you make adjustments throughout the game and is this team making the adjustments that they need to be making throughout the course of the game.
Plenty ahead. We'll come back and try to slow down Derrick Henry, Logs.
How are we going to do that?
We'll find out in just a few moments.
He's a great back.
Yeah.
If you could take one back in the National Football League right now for your team, is he your guy?
Hard to say no to that. We'll see if we can
He's
stop
an Alabama
it.
guy,
Well, it's hard to say no to
Come on,
that.
man.
This is the Urban Meyer Show on Jaguars Radio.
On the road, there's a thin line between safety and tragedy. Don't cross it. Give law enforcement, first responders, and service professionals the space to safely do their jobs. When you see flashing lights, move over a lane or slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. See lights? Move over, Florida. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
Have you painted yourself for game day and dyed your pet's fur to match? Do you bleed your team's colors and deck your pet out in team gear? Do you plan game day watch parties for fellow sports lovers and their beloved pets? Then you are a rare breed. You are a pet fanatic, equal parts pet obsessed and die-hard sports fan. At Pet Paradise, they're crazy about pets too, the official pet care provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pet Paradise, it's a new day in pet care.
At ViStar, we believe in better. And what's better than saving up to $5,000 in closing costs when you buy or refinance a home? With a ViStar no closing costs mortgage, you'll get a great rate, no hidden fees, and like the name says, no closing costs up to $5,000. If you believe saving money is better, join ViStar. Equal housing opportunity, insured by NCUA. All loans subject to credit approval. Offer not available on VA and FHA mortgages. For more information, visit ViStarCU.org.
So, it's happy hour. Let's talk whiskey options. Have you tried Citrus Distillers? Have you tried Citrus Distillers Limited Edition 2021 Barrel Aged Jaguar Whiskey? Did you know it's only available for a limited time and manufactured in Jacksonville? Yes, Jacksonville. I said local whiskey. Try it on the rocks or in a Jack's Whiskey Sour. Citrus Distillers Jaguars Whiskey is available at local liquor stores, restaurants, and the Jaguar Stadium. Drink local, Jacksonville. Find recipes and events at jaguarswhiskey.com.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show rolls along. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Head coach Urban Meyer joining us in the first half hour every Tuesday afternoon here along the network. Glad you're along with us as we head into week number 5. And it's a busy week at Daly's Place on the south end of TIAA Bank Field. NF tomorrow. Zach Brown Band October 8th. Alice Cooper October 9th. Pitbull October 12th. Three Doors Down October 14th. And don't look now, the 15th logs, this show's right up your alley. Jonas Brothers with Kelsey Ballerini. Tickets at dailysplace.com, though tickets might not be available for the Jonas Brothers.
Are you serious?
That's maybe it's up your daughter's alley. She would like
say,
that would be more her style.
Are they still like kids? Right?
I think they've grown up a little bit.
Have
I
they?
think I don't know when they came out. I didn't really follow their career too much, logs like you.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what NF is.
We'll go tomorrow night. You'll find out. It's a way to go.
Do you know?
No, I don't. I know what Zach Brown Band is.
Zach Brown Band is good.
Alice Cooper.
Yeah, Alice Cooper.
All
absolutely. That. Yeah, and you said Ace
Frehley from Kiss. Yeah,
is playing with
guitar,
Alice Cooper.
Yeah, that's right.
That's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if he's going to be in full makeup garb.
Both of them might be.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't walk out. Remember the album cover of Kiss that didn't have makeup? It was like the scariest album ever. Put it back on, guys.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
I know.
Brutal.
Alice Cooper had better makeup, though, didn't
he? Yeah, he's got better props on stage and everything. Do snakes and guillotines. And
Kiss is still one of the greatest ever. I mean, the whole makeup thing was amazing.
So you can see that live and in person.
Did you ever see Kiss live?
No, I did not.
I never did either. That's one of my great
They went
regrets.
back on tour, in the mid-90s? A bunch, obviously, but in the mid-90s, they made that big comeback tour. 95, I think.
I saw I know we're way off of football here, but sometimes after, you're dealing with some of the things we've been dealing with today, sometimes to get off the subject is a little good.
Yeah. I guess, like Dave said in my ear just now, if whenever Gene needs money, Kiss goes on tour.
Yeah, it's probably true. I saw and think I actually had the opportunity to go see some of those old rock bands back in the day because I grew up in Northern Virginia. We had, back then it was called the Capitol Center. Capitol Center was where the Washington Bullets and then the Washington Capitals played.
Yeah.
And they had frequent concerts there. And I never went to see a Kiss concert, and I wish I had. I did see Aerosmith when they had the Toys in the Attic album, when they were on tour supporting that album. That was in the early mid-'70s.
It's a big one.
Yeah, that was
a big one.
As a kid going to Aerosmith, that was different now.
My first concert, I know we're way off topic here for those listening to the
like
Urban Meyer
JP,
Show
it's good
today.
sometimes.
But we need a little respite. My first one was ZZ Top with the Birmingham Jefferson Civic Center.
All right.
They were on the Antenna Tour. Jackal was the opening band.
Really?
Yes. They did the Lumberjack song and chainsawed a stool on stage and threw it in the crowd, and then ZZ Top came out.
All right, last question, then we're going to get back to football.
Yes.
Greatest concert you ever saw? Or coolest concert you ever saw?
It's tough. I've seen a lot of Tedeschi trucks over the last few years.
Yeah,
They're
can't do that.
fantastic.
I know.
It's tough. That's a different one. The one that really sticks in my head from about that same time frame, 96 probably, was Rage Against the Machine.
Okay.
The Evil Empire Tour, Sloss Furnace, Birmingham. They played all 2 of their albums at the time, all of them. They played every song. It was incredible.
Good. Yeah.
I'll never forget that noise in my life.
Guns N' Roses, Madison Square Garden.
Oh, you win.
It was pretty cool.
Let's get back to football.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry can bring the thunder. And how do you begin to slow this big horse down? We've seen it, he's gotten loose a bunch on this team over the years.
He's a great back, and he can do anything that he wants to do from a performance standpoint because he runs with power, he runs with speed, he's got great balance. He has when he gets it going, that's when he gets real dangerous because he's just so big and powerful, and he makes people look real small. He's got a great stiff arm, arguably the best stiff arm in NFL history. I mean, I can't think.
I mean, he sends guys flying with it.
I can't think of a better stiff arm, and by anybody. I mean, Hall of Famers. I mean, Emmitt Smith had a pretty good stiff arm, but it wasn't like this. I mean, this is physical, and he's probably got a sleeve length of about 36, 37 inches, and so he just keeps guys at bay with that stiff arm. So he's a great back, and you populate him. You try to get as many people to him as you can. And if you can stop him from getting rolling downhill, that will help you out because once he gets rolling, he's dominant.
Yeah, I mean you got to penetrate in the backfield
how long was it? A 99-yard run
99
that he had in
yards.
Tennessee that he just literally threw A.J. Boye aside. He stiff-armed Miles Jack. I mean, it was a run that was just
Leon Jacobs was on the list.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
and I know it's a bad play for the Jaguars, but that's one of the. I mean, that's like beast mode going off. And what game was that? The Vikings that he was going crazy, where he's just running over people and kept going and going and going. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was
signature run.
That was not the finest Jaguars defensive moment. I'll say that. And then he had the next year a 75-yarder right against his team. I mean, he's done it a few times.
Back-to-back years where he's had his way.
But
with his football team.
Their
offensive line is not the same though. Let me say that.
Yeah, Taylor Wan's nicked up a little bit, right? He was in and out of the game last.
If you go back a couple years ago when they had Taylor Lewan and then the right tackle that's now in Cleveland,
Conklin,
Jack Conklin. Yes, thank you. I mean, that was a really good offensive line. Really good offensive line for Tennessee, and the offensive line is not the same. Derrick Henry's numbers still are really good. They're not as good at protecting the quarterback. I think they've been sacked like 17 times, and part of that is that you go back to Chandler Jones had 5 against Taylor Lewan, I think, in week 1.
That's right, because he was still banged up and not right.
Exactly, and then Taylor Lewan goes out, and I think they put in Ty Sambrello, and he gets absolutely abused. And so they've had some issues along the offensive line. And I can tell you that Quisenberry, the right tackle, is certainly not anywhere in the same stratosphere as Jack Conklin. So that is not what it used to be. So I think you got to be able to try to win up front. Certainly is always the goal, and this week I think it's more important than ever.
Better slow him down.
Not going to be easy.
Nope.
Now, the only guy that I would probably compare him to, JP, and great running backs in the past, Eddie George kind of comes to mind. It was obviously another Tennessee Titan because of the size. Eddie George had that length and size. But Eddie didn't run with the power that he had. Eric Dickerson is somebody that I would And, most people, when they think of Eric Dickerson, they don't think of big and powerful. They think of grace and speed.
Yeah.
But Eric Dickerson had an amazing grace with power that was similar to Emmitt Smith. And when Emmitt ran, when you hit him, you were like, holy cow. If a guy weighs what did he weigh? 215-ish?
Yeah, Eric Dickerson's 6'3", 220.
Yeah, Dickerson 6'3", 220, okay. But Emmitt, what I'm talking about is
Emmitt.
But these guys, both of them, Emmitt and Eric Dickerson, when they ran, they carried a wallop without carrying a lot of weight. But here's a guy that carries wallop, and he carries weight, Derrick Henry, because he's legit 250.
Emmitt 5'9", 215.
That's what I figured, about 215, but powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. And Derrick
can
Henry,
avoid contact, too, just like enough, like kind of James Robinson does. That doesn't
exactly
take a direct
what I
hit.
said last year when somebody tried to ask me, how would you describe James Robinson as a runner? And my first thing was, he reminds me of Emmitt. And a lot of people will overreact to that. How can you say that he's compared to Emmitt? I'm not saying that because they're on the same level, because obviously Emmitt's the all-time leading rusher. But I'm saying the style in which they run, they're very similar, and I think Eric Dickerson is very similar in a lot of ways to Derrick Henry.
Let's come back. We'll get to this Jaguars offense and see if they can have some more big boy drives like they did in the second half when they answered and went down the field and regained the lead after losing it. I thought that was a big moment in the game last week.
It was a great drive that where you had a little help on a 4th and 2.
We will talk about that. This is the Urban Meyer Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh. She's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm Chantel Chark, wife of DJ Chark. My husband is always prepared with a game day plan, and so am I. I'm always looking for easy ways to save time, and Publix helps me tackle everything from pre-game prep to post-game cleanup with prices that are never out of bounds.
This week at Publix, assorted varieties and sizes of Pantene, Head & Shoulders, Herbal Essences, and Aussie hair care items are $2 off when you purchase 2.
Available at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com. The world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com. Officially licensed everything. Pinpoint, the official signage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, helps business decision makers like you maximize the impact of their brand. Your company's identification, advertising, and even the words you use make an impression on your clients. With Pinpoint as your coach, you can make sure it's a good impression. Pinpoint provides the creative design and production services for anything you need to enhance your brand, from custom signage to complete marketing solutions. Step up your game with Pinpoint and create the ultimate brand experience for your clients. Visit experiencepinpoint.com.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show rolls along. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, head coach Urban Meyer joins us in the first half hour, 5 o'clock each and every Tuesday, including today. He was with us and gave his thoughts on the Shad Khan statement from earlier today, and now it's on to Tennessee. They're trying to move forward and face this Tennessee Titans team. It would be nice to have some offensive performance like they did last week. The quarterback played pretty well. The running game was good early in the game. And while the Jags defense was giving up some scoring drives on the other side in the second half to tie the game, the first two drives made it 14-14. Well, the Jaguars answered right back. The next possession, they go down the field 11 plays, 77 yards in 5:43 logs, and they get a go-ahead touchdown. At that point, for me, that was a huge answer for this Jags offense. Trevor Lawrence throwing it around. They pounded in at the end and maybe caught a little bit of a break on the play before the touchdown, but hey, we'll take it.
Well, I mean, what you're talking about, there was a defensive hold, and I believe that was on Dan Arnold. And was it legitimate? Yeah, I think it was a pretty good call, but it certainly was costly to the Bengals because it negated the sack that I think it was Trey Hendrickson got on that play. So, yeah, fortunate on that drive, but a great job, I thought, overall. You had an explosive play. You had the 27-yarder to Jamal Agnew on that drive, and then James Robinson caps it off with a beautiful run. Got great vision, and he's just so decisive in his cuts, and you can actually look on Jaguars Twitter this week. I'll be taking that play to the Microsoft Surface Film Room.
Oh, let's do it. Yes. Love that.
Well, that's the one thing that made Emmett good. And we were talking about running styles. When James Robinson runs, by the way, has a better yards per carry average than Derrick Henry, just throwing that out there. When he runs, he is so decisive. And when you have a back that's decisive, so they're running and then they plant and then they don't waste any time going the new direction, they have the defenders at a competitive disadvantage because they can't meet him with power anymore. And that's exactly what happened on the touchdown run. First of all, he's got great vision. You got to have great vision to be able to make great cuts. And then you have to be committed and have the physical ability to make great cuts with speed. One of the greatest backs I've ever seen to change directions with speed was Freeman McNeil, who I played with in New York. And he would be running 25 miles an hour one direction, planting his foot, and he's still going 25 miles in the other direction. I mean, he just had a great ability to cut at speed. And James Robinson has that ability. He's got great vision, great speed, and that's where I think one of the reasons why people are saying when you have a 4th and goal at the 1-yard line at the end of the first half, people are going, wait a minute, let's give the ball to James Robinson, the guy that never gets tackled for a loss or no gain. And you can see that maybe there's a little bit of something to that statement. But nonetheless, it was a great response. And then the Jaguars defense just couldn't do it anymore because JP, after that, they ended up giving up 2 10-play drives. And if you think about it, the Jaguars in the second half only had 3 possessions.
Yep.
Bengals had 4.
They were on the field forever.
And they scored on all 4 of them.
And long drives and the whole thing. So they were out of gas there at that point, unfortunately. Run, and then the left tackle, the left guard, and the center are 3 of the highest paid at their position in football. Just run it over there, right? I mean, that you can look back on it in hindsight now. Urban talked about it earlier in the show.
I don't look at what guys get paid. Hey. I don't look at it that way. I don't. But I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is that when
Those
you're
are
paying
horses
that kind of money, then you expect the performance and the dependability to follow, and that's always in a perfect world. But I don't think things are always so perfect.
If he scores, it's a genius call, and there we go. We're not talking about.
I thought, in my opinion, I thought the offensive line played pretty well, and I think the quarterback is really making them play better too. 5 sacks allowed on the year.
Mm-hmm.
And you can sit there and say, well, that's a great job by the offensive line. I also want to say that's a great job by the quarterback. He's got great pocket awareness. He just has the ability to know when it's time to get rid of the ball. And in his performance, obviously, he needs to continue to improve. But it's good to see that kind of awareness from a young quarterback in the pocket. Because I believe in that situation, you either have it or you don't. You can get better at it slightly, but this guy's got it. He's got great pocket presence.
We'll come back. Our final thoughts ahead of week number 5. We haven't got on the practice field yet this week. It feels like it's been a full week already around here. And this is the Urban Meyer Show on Jaguars Radio.
On the road, there's a thin line between safety and tragedy. Don't cross it. Give law enforcement, first responders, and service professionals the space to safely do their jobs. When you see flashing lights, move over a lane or slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. See lights? Move over, Florida. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
Hard Rock Sportsbook is coming to Florida. Join the Seminole Tribe of Florida and Hard Rock for safe, trusted, and completely legal sports betting. Go to hardrocksportsbook.com to get all the latest details leading up to launch. Play remotely from anywhere in Florida, including on your phone or computer or in person at Seminole Casinos. Want great promotions like free bets, odds boosts, and bonuses? Hard Rock Sportsbook will have all your favorite bets and promotions. Hard Rock Sportsbook, the best place to be a Jaguars fan. Coming soon. Must be at least 21 and physically present in Florida to wager. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-800-522-4700.
Jags fans, did you know you can ride your bike to every Jaguars home game at TIAA Bank Field in Valley Park it for free? That's right. Stop by our bicycle check-in tent sponsored by Alert Today Florida near Gate 1 at TIAA Bank Field. An on-duty ZenCog bike professional will park your bike and ensure it's secure during the game. When the game is over, return your claim ticket to pick up your bike. For cycling safety tips, visit alerttodayflorida.com. Remember, Alert Today, Alive Tomorrow, because safety doesn't happen by accident.
At ViStar, we believe in better. And that means treating people better with friendly, personal service that's kept our members happy since 1952. A smile and personal greeting when you enter the branch, an online or phone chat for those quick questions, and a call center that's open every day. If you believe that great service is better, join ViStar. Visit ViStarCU.org. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
Scrubbing soon to a location near you. You know and love the Scrubble Stars at the Town Center, Fleming Island, and Atlantic Beach. Now get ready for 4 new locations scrubbing soon this year, featuring Kernan, San Jose, Racetrack Road, and Oakleaf. Give your car the glitz and glam it deserves at the best car wash in town with free car prep, vacuums, window cleaner, and more. You can also catch us at every Jags home game and cool down at the Scrubbies Misting Arch. Drive in to see us now and in the future at our Scrubbing Soon locations. Scrubbles, trust the bow tie. You'll know quality once you arrive.
Great teams leave it all on the field. But with the powerful towing and payload that Ford F-150 delivers, you can take it all with you, too. No wonder Ford F-Series is America's best-selling truck 44 years straight. The 2021 Ford F-150, built for greatness. Visit your local Ford dealer or buyfordnow.com. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
We're back as the Urban Meyer Show. JP Shadrick with Jaguars analyst Jeff Lageman. Head coach Urban Meyer joins us in the first half hour each and every Tuesday at 5 o'clock here on the network. Glad you've joined us today. Now it's on to football. The Jaguars will be back on the practice field tomorrow afternoon and start their preparation. Really, they were on the field Monday for a short time, and then Players' Day off Tuesday today, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday's usually a lighter day. And here we go. The Titans come in here on Sunday, and they're in first place. They're 2-2, and they just lost to a winless team, the Jets, on a
they're going to be a little salty
on a missed field goal at the end. And they're running the ball well. We know this team so well, and we haven't had much success against them.
And I think that's one of the things. I mean, first of all, you've got an entirely new staff here. You've had a lot of things kind of going on this week with the distraction with the head coach, and you need to refocus like you don't know them. I mean, if you're a player and you've been here for a while and you've played against the Tennessee Titans, you got to act like you don't know them and do a really good job of researching and film study, because there's always little nuances that you can pick up, even though some of the players are the same.
Yeah, and to your point, too, there's a lot of coaches that haven't seen this team at all.
Well, the coaches, this
players,
is a whole
coaches,
new staff they've never faced the Titans as a staff. So there's certainly a lot of work for them to do. But from a player standpoint, for example, there's a lot of guys that have played against the Tennessee Titans, and so sometimes when you play somebody and you play somebody in the division, sometimes you can assume that you know. But the old 3 most dangerous words, and we've heard this in the past, right? The Jaguars coach of past years said this. He said, the 3 most dangerous words in football.
I got it.
You got it. You got it. You were accurate.
Gus Bradley.
I got it, or I got this.
Gus Bradley. He was on all over the TV last night. Monday Night Football.
He faced a pretty good quarterback last night,
yeah,
who I had in fantasy. And by the way, your fantasy back, I think you had Eckler last night. Did you have Eckler?
I don't remember.
I think you did. I think you did pretty well, JP.
Well, we'll find out Sunday, I guess, on the Publix Tailgate Show.
Looking forward to it.
See if I can go wire to wire in the fantasy this year. Hey, we'll look forward to all your shows this week. You're all over the place. I'm going to be on a few this week that I'm not normally on. We've got a busy week ahead of Titans Week, the Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans, Sunday at 1 o'clock at TIAA Bank Field. Thank you for listening.
And confirming you did have Eckler.
Thank you, Logs. Good to know. It's the Urban Meyer Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.